Have you ever wondered why some people, after just a few minutes of conversation, make us want to trust them, cooperate with them, and even follow them? Meanwhile, there are others who, despite talking a lot and in great detail, make the other person feel uncomfortable, distant, or simply not want to listen anymore. The answer lies in a skill that everyone knows, but very few people truly master: communicate. Communication is more than just talking. It is the invisible bridge that shapes every relationship in our lives. From work, friends, family to the brief moments of meeting a stranger on the street. The way we convey our message and the way we listen will determine the quality of the connection. You may be very good at your profession. You have a solid knowledge. You work hard, but if you do not know how to communicate, the door to success and positive influence on others will close right before your eyes. Successful people are not only good doers, but also good speakers and listeners. Think about a leader you admired, or a colleague you always felt comfortable working with. It's not that they knew everything, but that they knew how to make you trust them, how to inspire empathy, how to create a collaborative atmosphere. Communication skills are what make the difference. In fact, people with good communication skills are always appreciated in all situations. Right from the first meeting, they can make a positive impression without trying too hard. You feel welcomed, understood, and open up more easily. At work, they are the ones who resolve conflicts quickly, know how to turn stress into an opportunity to build relationships. In personal life, they are inspirational people we want to be around because of the positive energy they bring. And here's a truth that many people often overlook: communication doesn't just come from words. In fact, more than 70% of the messages we receive in a conversation does not come from words, but from body language, eyes and tone. That is, sometimes you do not say anything, but the other person has already heard something from you. An unconfident look, a closed posture, a hesitant voice, all send messages, and sometimes more powerfully than words. Therefore, to truly communicate successfully, you need to learn not only to choose your words skillfully, but also to master your silent signals. You must be aware that every nod, every smile, every moment of silence is also a part of communication. And only when you control both aspects, words and body language, can you truly become an effective communicator. Think about it. How many times have you walked away from a conversation wondering, what did I say wrong? When the problem wasn't the words, but the way you said them? How many times have you lost trust in someone, not because they said something wrong, but because their eyes were averted or their tone was uncertain? That's a testament to the fact that communication is an art, and that art is about more than just words. Communication, after all, is how we shape the world around us. It is the most powerful tool we have to connect, to influence, and to open doors that we would never have been able to walk through alone. And the great thing is, anyone can practice. Anyone can become better at communication, as long as they take it seriously and put in the time to practice. So, before we dive into specific communication tips, ask yourself, how do you want people to remember you after a conversation? As a shallow, unapproachable person, or as someone who is trustworthy, inspiring, and comfortable? The answer lies in how you communicate, and the journey to mastering that skill starts here. Have you ever been in a conversation where the person across from you is nodding and smiling, but when you stop, they respond in a way that has nothing to do with what you just said? How does that feel? It's often disappointing, and sometimes it makes you think to yourself, this person doesn't really care about me. And that's why active listening become one of the most important skills in communication. Most of us listen to prepare a response. We listen defensively, ready to argue, or to jump in with our own story. But we rarely listen to truly understand. In fact, when you listen to understand, you give the other person a precious gift, a sense of respect, of recognition, of being fully present. Imagine you're sharing a difficult problem at work with a friend. You expect them to empathize, to understand, but instead of listening, they interrupt with, "Oh, I was like that, let me tell you." At that point, the story is no longer yours. You become an unwilling audience for their experience. This is a communication mistake that many people make. And on the other hand, if your friend stays silent, looks directly at you, nods slightly to show that they're listening, and then repeats, "I see," You mean you're feeling stressed because your coworkers aren't cooperating, right? Just a small detail like that. You'll feel like you've been truly heard. So how to practice active listening techniques? First, start by maintaining eyes. Don't stare awkwardly, but don't let your eyes wander to your phone or across the room. A natural, focused gaze sends the message, I'm here with you. Second, use small signals to show that you are present. Sometimes it is just a nod, a brief, or a small smile. Don't underestimate the power of these seemingly simple gestures. They signal to the other person that they are not talking to a wall, but to a human being who is listening and paying attention. Third, let's repeat main idea theirs. You don't need to repeat the exact words. Just rephrase them in your own words. If I understand correctly, what you mean is, this technique has two powerful effects. It helps you make sure you've understood correctly, and it makes the speaker feel like you've really got their story. You may be wondering, it sounds so simple, but why can't so many people do it? The answer is because we often let our egos get in the way. We rush to offer advice, pass judgment, or share our own experiences to show that we understand. But the truth is, people don't need advice right away. Most of the time, they just need someone to listen, to let them breathe, to release. Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, once said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we may listen twice as much as we speak." It may seem simple, but it holds timeless wisdom. When you learn to listen more, you not only understand others more deeply, but you also open yourself up to genuine connection. And you will see this in practice. The people who are liked by many people are often not the best speakers, but the ones who best listener. They make you feel safe to express yourself. They make you leave the conversation with a vague sense of joy, even though you don't remember exactly what they said. Just that, it was nice talking to that person. Challenge yourself. In your next conversation, instead of mentally preparing your response, block out any thoughts of interruption and focus on what the other person is saying. When they pause, allow a moment of silence. Then respond with a sentence that shows you've really heard. You'll be amazed at how this small gesture can change the quality of your relationship. Because in the end, communication is not a contest to see who talks more or who is more convincing. Communication is an exchange, a space where two people meet and truly understand each other. And active listening is the key to open that door. Have you noticed that sometimes, just a smile can break down all the walls of communication? You walk into a strange room. You don't know anyone, and then someone smiles at you. At that moment, the atmosphere becomes warmer, softer, making you feel safe and welcome. That is the power of a smile, an invisible key that opens the door to connection between people. A genuine smile needs no translation, and it doesn't depend on language. Whether you're in New York, Paris, or Tokyo, a smile sends the same message. I'm friendly. I'm coming to you with openness. Many psychological studies have shown that people who smile frequently are more likely to be perceived as trustworthy, approachable, and cooperative. That's why in important encounters, from job interviews to meetings to dates, a well-timed smile can completely change a first impression. Remember, smiling is not just for happy times. Even in a stressful situation, a gentle smile can lighten the mood. Imagine a tense meeting with heated debates. Just one person smiling can lighten the mood, signaling, we can find a solution together. That's why smiling is one of the most powerful weapons in communication. But it's something that anyone can use immediately, and it doesn't cost a dime. However, a smile is only truly powerful when it comes from sincerity. A forced smile, an exaggerated social smile will be easily recognized and even counterproductive. Others may feel that you are being fake or not really interested. So, don't try to smile just for the sake of it. Let the smile come from your presence and the desire to truly connect with the person in front of you. If smile is the key to open the door, then is a connection stronger than words. You can say 100 sentences, but sometimes just a look is enough to tell someone who you are. Eyes convey confidence, honesty, and respect. When you look someone in the eye during a conversation, you are sending the message, I am truly here with you. On the other hand, if you avoid eye contact, look down, or avert your gaze, people will think you lack confidence or even are dishonest. You've probably met someone whose eyes made you feel untrustworthy. right? We often don't realize it. But our eyes are an important part of how others perceive us. Eye contact, however, is also subtle. No one wants to be stared at in an intense way. The key is to keep it casual, like you're genuinely interested, not scrutinizing. Think about the feeling of talking to a close friend. You look into their eyes. But you don't force it. You don't pressure them. That's the ideal eye contact. Smiles and eye contact. They may sound simple, but when combined, they create a huge communication power. A genuine smile accompanied by warm eye contact can instantly put others at ease. No matter who they are, where they come from, or how different you and they are. So have you ever asked yourself, in your last conversation, did you actually smile and look the other person in the eye? Or were you so busy with your own thoughts, so stressed out with your own worries, that you forgot about these two simple but extremely powerful tools? Practicing smiling and eye contact doesn't require any special technique. It just requires presence. Start small. When you meet someone, greet them with a smile and look them in the eye for a few seconds. When you listen to a story, let your eyes say, "I'm really interested," and you'll be amazed at how the way people respond to you changes. Because in the end, communication is not just about what you say, but what others feel, and sometimes, what touches others' hearts is not eloquent words, but just a smile and a sincere look. Have you ever met someone who, just by walking into a room, you could sense their confidence, even before they said a word? Or, conversely, someone who just appears and creates a heavy atmosphere with their closed posture, averted eyes, and awkward gestures. This clearly shows the truth. Body language says more than any words you utter. When it comes to communication, words only account for about 30%. The rest comes from how you use your body, your tone of voice, and the silence between your words. If your words and your body language contradict each other, people will believe what your body is saying, not what you are saying. Imagine, you say you are confident, but your hands are shaking. Your eyes are looking down. Your shoulders are hunched. Will others believe that confidence? Definitely not. This is why mastering body language is a great communication skill that everyone needs to practice. So, how can you make your body language send a powerful and positive message? First, start from an open position. Don't cross your arms, legs, or back to the person you're talking to. These gestures make you seem closed off, defensive, or uncomfortable. Instead, keep your shoulders back, your chest slightly open, your hands relaxed, and, if possible, lean forward slightly when you're talking. This is a clear signal that you're interested and ready to connect. Second, pay attention to your hands. Hands are a great tool for clarifying your point. When you are emphasizing a point, illustrative hand gestures can make your message come alive and be more persuasive. But remember, don't overdo it. If you wave your hands too much, the person you are talking to will feel distracted. The key is to use your hands naturally and rhythmically, not forcibly. Third, master your tone. Body language is not only about gestures, but also about the way you use your voice. A monotone voice, lacking emphasis, will quickly make others lose focus. Meanwhile, a deep, clear voice, combined with a flexible rhythm, sometimes slowing down for emphasis, sometimes rising up for inspiration, will make your message many times more engaging. Here's a funny thing. Your voice can betray your inner feelings. When you're nervous, your voice will shake or sound unusually high-pitched. When you're confident, your voice will be lower and slower. That's why before an important conversation, you should take a deep breath and keep your breathing steady, so that your body and voice are in sync with your calm. Fourth, remember that your smile, eyes, and posture should always be in sync. If you say encouraging words but your eyes are cold and your lips are pressed tightly together, others will not feel your sincerity. If you say you care, but your body is swaying and your eyes are looking elsewhere, your concern will lose its value. A smart communicator is someone who knows how to make words and body language become a unified whole. Here's a little exercise to try. Stand in front of a mirror and read a short introduction about yourself. Look at your posture, your hands, your eyes, and your voice. Do you see confidence in it? If not, tweak it. Open your shoulders. Keep your eyes open. Relax your hands. Adjust your pace. Just a few small changes can make a huge difference in your overall message. Because in the end, we humans don't just listen with our ears. We also listen with our eyes and our feelings. A powerful message is not about the number of words, but about how you make others feel. And body language is the tool that helps you turn your words into a vivid experience, making the other person not only listen to you, but also believe you. So next time you enter a conversation, remember, before you open your mouth, your body speaks, and it's how you stand, how you look, how you move that determines whether or not the other person is ready to listen to what you have to say. Have you noticed that in many conversations, people prefer those who ask questions over those who just talk about themselves? That's because questions are not only a tool for finding information, but also a bridge that shows genuine interest in the other person. Think about the last time you shared something important with someone. How did it feel if they just nodded and said something bland? On the other hand, when they asked, "How does this make you feel?" or "What do you think would be the best solution?" you immediately sensed that they genuinely cared, that they wanted to understand, and that creates a stronger connection than any comforting words or empty advice. Asking good questions is the art of leading a conversation. If you just ask yes or no questions, you'll quickly shut down the flow of sharing. But when you ask open-ended questions, like, "Why is this important to you?" "What kind of results do you want to see?" or "What do you think is holding you back the most?" you're encouraging others to dig deeper, expand on their answers, and reveal things they may not have even considered. The interesting thing is, the more you ask the right questions, the more value you get in return. Because the other person's answer not only helps you understand them, but also opens up a new perspective for you. So, don't be afraid to be silent after asking a question. Let that space become an opportunity for the other person to really think and express. Sometimes, that silence is the catalyst for a deeper conversation. Try this in your daily life. Instead of asking, "How was your day?" ask, "What was the best thing that happened to you today?" Just one small change and you will see a difference in how others open up to you. And once you know how to ask questions to get others to express themselves, the next step is talk now how to compliment properly. Because people, no matter how strong, always crave recognition. But not all compliments are effective. An empty compliment can make the listener feel awkward, even suspect that you are not sincere. We often hear general compliments like, "You're great," "You're awesome." These may sound nice, but they lack substance. On the other hand, a specific, sincere compliment will touch the listener's heart. For example, "You handled that stressful situation so well. I really admire your calmness." Just adding details will make your compliment much more valuable. And not just content, but time. The power of praise is also important. When someone is working hard, a timely recognition will be like a wind to help them move forward. You can try to remember, how many times have you wanted to give up? But just with a timely word of encouragement, you found the strength to continue? Others do the same. A timely compliment is sometimes more valuable than a material reward. However, there is one thing to note. Compliments should not be overused. If you compliment too much, or compliment everything indiscriminately, others will feel that you are not sincere. The secret here is, compliment less but quality. Compliment at the right time and place. Compliment what you really feel impressed. So, in your communication, remember to combine these two things. Ask smart questions to inspire sharing. And know how to praise properly to motivate. A good question opens the door to the soul, while a sincere compliment builds trust and connection. When you do both, you'll find that the conversation becomes more than just an exchange of information, but an inspiring experience for both parties. Because in the end, it's not how much you say that people remember you, but how you make them feel. And sometimes, just a wise question and a well-timed compliment are enough to leave a lasting impression. Have you ever wondered why some people say everything and get others to agree easily, while others say a lot but no one wants to listen? That is the difference between convince and force. And the art of persuasion is not about how loud or eloquent you speak, but about how you make others feel that they have a stake in it too. True persuasion begins with searching common value. When you want someone to agree with you, frame the issue in a win-win way. For example, instead of saying, "I need you to do this for me," try, "If we do this together, The outcome will be better for the whole team. Sounds different, right? Because people are naturally more likely to agree when they feel their own interests are protected. Also, always remember, words alone are not enough to convince. You need real-life example and clear evidence. Think of a colleague who wants to change a work process. If he just says, "I think this is a better way," he will definitely be met with resistance. But if he brings in numbers, concrete evidence that the new method saves 20% of the time, people will immediately listen. Because facts always speak louder than words. And the indispensable element in persuasion is confidence. When you speak with a firm tone, steady gaze, and upright posture, you send a silent message. I believe in what I say. And you can believe in me. But be careful. Confidence is not the same as dominance. A person who only talks and does not listen will soon lose respect. A good persuader never makes others feel pressured, but lets them agree voluntarily. You can try to observe in everyday life. The people who are trusted by many people are not the ones who talk the most, but the ones who talk and listen, who present their arguments and let others draw their own conclusions. That is the essence of persuasion. You don't need to win the argument. You need to accompany the other person so that both of you can reach the result. But here's a little-known secret. Persuasion isn't just about what you say. It's also about what you do, don't say. And that's where we come to the next trick. Know when to keep quiet. Silence. It sounds simple, but in fact, it is a powerful form of language. Sometimes, a moment of silence makes others think more than 100 explanations. When you know how to stop, not to react quickly, you are giving the other person space to express themselves, to say what they really think. And sometimes, the truth only appears in those moments of silence. Have you ever been in a debate where everyone wants to have a say? No one wants to stop. Everyone is jumping in. The result is that both sides are exhausted, but no one is really listening. On the other hand, if one person stays quiet and waits their turn, the atmosphere is calmer, and the other person feels more respected. Silence can also be a strategy. When someone criticizes you, instead of reacting immediately, try keeping quiet for a few seconds. This silence will give the other person time to calm down. And sometimes, they will realize how over the top they are. This is an art that wise people always apply. Talking is not always power. Sometimes, silence is power. Try this in your daily life, when a friend is sharing. Don't rush in with advice. Allow a moment of silence. Look them in the eye, and let them continue. You'll be surprised to find that they reveal more than they intended. Because silence is not emptiness. It's space for the truth to emerge. So, in communication, remember, persuasion and silence are two sides of the same coin. On the one hand, you need to be confident enough, logical enough, caring enough to persuade. On the other hand, you need to be patient enough, tactful enough to be silent at the right time. When you combine both, you are not only a good talker, but also a good connector. A good person to touch the hearts of others. Have you ever been in a conversation where the other person doesn't seem to care about your feelings? Just waiting for the opportunity to speak again? It feels like you're invisible. And that's why understand other people's feelings is a core skill in communication. Being empathetic doesn't mean you have to agree with everything they say. But it does mean you're sensitive enough to put yourself in their shoes. Before you respond, ask yourself, how would I feel if I were in that situation? Just a second of thinking like this can change your entire response. It prevents you from reacting hastily and helps you respond with empathy. Empathy comes not only from words, but also from the way you observe. Emotions often appear in the eyes, facial expressions, and voice, more than what is expressed in words. A person may say, "I'm fine," while their eyes are filled with worry, or their voice is shaking. If you only listen to the words, you may miss the real signal. But if you look closely, you will notice the tension hidden beneath the fine facade. And sometimes, just a gentle question, "I sense that you're worried. Is that right?" is enough to get them to open up. There is a famous saying, people may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And that feeling only comes when you truly care about their feelings. When you listen and observe with your heart, you become the person people want to share with. But to communicate effectively, understanding is not enough. You also need another skill: flexibility in every situation. Because communication is never a set formula. People are different, situations are different, and so the way you communicate must change accordingly. For example, when talking to superior, you can't beat around the bush or ramble. They want clarity, brevity, and to the point. A short, solution-focused statement is more valuable than a long-winded explanation. Conversely, when you're with friend, comfort and wit make the conversation more engaging. A little humor, a personal story can bring the relationship closer. And when we meet stranger, politeness and friendliness are key. You don't have to be overly open right away. But a greeting, a smile, and a respectful attitude will help you make a positive first impression. The trick is knowing how to keep a reasonable distance so as not to invade their personal space, but still be close enough to open up opportunities for connection. Ask yourself, are you communicating in the same way to everyone? If so, it may be time to be more flexible, because being rigid in your communication can lead to misunderstandings, or worse, missing out on valuable opportunities to connect. The art of communication is really like adjusting your volume and tone to the music. With a sad person, you need to be gentle. With a group in a heated discussion, you need to be strong and decisive. And with a stranger, you need to be warm but measured. When you are both understanding of other people's emotions and flexible in the way you express them, you will become a person who is not only good at communicating, but also loved and respected. Because you do not just talk, you also have a cold okay. You not only express, you also adjust to suit every situation. Finally, remember, communication is not an art for you to shine alone, but for you to light up the conversation and make others feel heard and understood. And when you do that, you will realize, you are not just communicating, you are building sustainable bridges of connection with the people around you. Do you realize, after going through the 9 great tips in communication together, we suddenly see that communication is not actually a natural talent, but a skill that can be trained. No one is born good at communication. The people you admire for their captivating conversation, for their ability to make others listen, they also had to start from zero. The only difference is that they see each conversation as a practice opportunity, and gradually, that skill becomes second nature. The point is, you can do it too. Every time you listen instead of interrupting. Every time you smile instead of frowning. Every time you ask a question instead of just talking about yourself. These are all small but sure steps on the journey to becoming a better communicator. Remember the 9 tricks we discovered together: active listening, smiling and making eye contact, using body language, asking smart questions, complimenting appropriately, the ability to persuade, knowing when to be silent, understanding other people's emotions, and flexibility in different situations. Each skill is a piece of the puzzle. And when you have enough of them, your communication picture will be complete, helping you build lasting and deep relationships. Good communication does more than just win people over. It opens up countless doors in life. At work, you will be more respected, and your chances of promotion will come faster, because everyone wants to work with someone who knows how to communicate and listen. In family and friendship, you will create bonds and understanding, things that money or status cannot buy. Think back to your own life. How many times have you missed an opportunity because you were too shy to speak? Or said it the wrong way? How many times have you had a conversation that could have been a healing one, but instead turned into a conflict because you didn't know how to shut up, didn't know how to listen, or weren't sensitive enough to understand the other person's feelings? These moments are reminders that communication is not a secondary thing, but a vital skill. And the great thing is, you don't have to change everything at once. Just pick one of these 9 techniques to practice every day. Today, focus on listening more than you talk. Tomorrow, pay attention to your body language. Over time, you'll find yourself not sitting quietly in a corner, but someone others want to come to talk to, share with, and collaborate with. In Stoic philosophy, there is a profound lesson. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. That is also the spirit of the art of communication, knowing when to speak, when to be silent, and when to truly understand others. So, I want to leave you with a question. How do you want others to remember you after each conversation? Be a superficial, forgettable person, or be an inspirational person who makes them feel respected and appreciated? The answer lies in how you practice these 9 techniques. Communication is not a distant skill, it's in every smile, every glance, every compliment, every moment of silence you choose. And when you practice enough, you'll realize you've not only changed the way others see you, but also the way you see the world. Sparkles. If you find these communication tips useful and want to become a more confident, inspiring version of yourself in every relationship, don't forget to leave a like and share this video with the people you care about. And if this is your first time coming to the channel, hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, so you don't miss out on lessons that will help you improve your life every day. And you, out of the 9 tips above, which skill do you think you need to practice the most? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your answer.